again, and welcome to another PGA podcast from Cheat Code Fantasy Sports. I'm Zach Green and Cody Harvey here with you, and we are going to go over some recap of last week's tournament, the Workday Charity Open. We'll give you some plays for this week for outright bets, head-to-head bets, cash and GPP plays, as well as some tiers action. But we offer at Cheat Code, we offer data-driven picks and plays, and that we combine it with bankroll management and contest selection to help you guys maximize your chances for success. And we're transparent as possible. We provide articles, cheat sheets, player pools, exposures, ownership, point projections, anything that you can think of. And you can join our Slack at the link below for free. And then you can follow us on Twitter at CheatCodeFS, myself at OkiCapo14, or Cody at DCodyHarvey. And we also have a website that's coming. It's almost ready to go pretty soon. So stay tuned to Twitter, and we'll give you some updates there. So as we get into the video, today we want to first start out by recapping last week's Workday Charity Open, starting with our cash plays. So Cody, how did your 3 cash plays go?
So the cash plays I singled out last week. First one was Victor Hovland. So Vic ended up leading the field in stroke gain tee to green yet again, third straight week. Finished with 119.5 DK points. So that's good for over 12.5 times value. So he was highly owned in cash and in GPPs. But for cash, I've got no problem with that. He ended up over 31% in some of the cash games. But at that value, ownership's really irrelevant. So third most fantasy points out of anyone, behind only Morikawa and JT, Justin Thomas. And yeah, great week for Hovland yet again. Second play was Adam Hadwin. Started off really strong, didn't finish that great on the weekend. Finished with 68.5 DK points, so over eight times value, which is good enough for cash. Again, he came in really highly owned in both cash and in tournaments as well, over 30% in some of the cash games. And then the last pick was, as you could tell if you watched the video last week, I was extremely confident in, was Emiliano Grillo. So Grillo started off really strong the first 9 holes, and then kind of tapered off. It was a good course history play, but didn't end up returning value. 23.5 DK points as he didn't make it through to the weekend, missed the cut. 3.3 times value and low owned in cash and tournaments. So Zach, how are your cash plays from last week?
The first one for me was Gary Woodland, and he had 101.5 DraftKings points, 12.2 value. He was about 21% in GPPs and 26% in cash games. He ended up with the 4th highest fantasy points behind JT, Morikawa, and Hovland. But he did have a bad first round, kind of made me nervous there. Especially, I think it was like, until he eagled, I think it was like hole 14 on day 2, he was in danger of missing the cut. And so he was starting to make me nervous there, but he snuck by, and then he turned it on Saturday and Sunday and ended up finishing, I think he finished in the top 5. So great performance after Thursday and Friday wasn't too great for him. And then the next one, Cameron Champ, he had 52 DraftKings points, 6.8x value, and he was about 16% in GPPs and cash games. He made the cut, but that was about the end of his positive results there. He shot over par on both Saturday and Sunday. And Sunday, it's like every time I turn around, it was like Champ bogey, Champ double bogey, Champ bogey. And he didn't even get a birdie, I think, the entire Sunday. So wasn't the best result, but because of his price and how we were able to fit in some other guys, it didn't necessarily kill you in your cash lineups. And then the last one was Patrick Cantley, 96.5 DraftKings points, 9.1x value, 28% in the Millie contest, and then 35% in cash. He ended up with the ninth most fantasy points. He was great for cash this week. He was better on the weekend like Woodland. He flirted with missing the cut, but not as bad as Woodland, because I think he was like -3 was the lowest he got. But he was obviously better, especially on Sunday when he shot a -7. So overall, both Cody and I, cash plays ended up pretty successful for the most part. I would say 4 of 6, the result that we wanted, and then Champ didn't really hurt us as much, and then just the one miscut. So for my GPPs last week, I have Ricky Fowler. He had 86.5 DraftKings points, 9.6 value, about 15% in the GPPs, 10% in cash. Good enough for GPPs, not quite what we want, but pretty decent. And he scored the 18th most fantasy points. He's still not back to the level that we know Ricky Fowler's capable of. But he got the job done for the second week in a row, tournament in a row, I should say. And then Scotty Scheffler, I'm always tempted by him every week, and he keeps letting me down. 30 DraftKings points, 3.8x value, 10% in the millie, 5% in cash, and it was just another bad week. He's better than the way he's been playing, but he's missed 3 straight cuts, and so I think my time of waiting on him to come back is probably over, at least for the time being. And then Henrik Norlander was my last play, 71 DraftKings points, 10.9x value, 8% in the millie, and 9% in cash games. It was great for his price, a low price of $6,500. Ownership was way down, which surprised me because he had been playing well at Rocket Mortgage Classic coming into the tournament. And so he was a good play there. So how was your GPPs, Cody?
So my first GPP play was Brooks Koepka. So he ended up missing the cut. Had a really poor start, and then turned it on the last 9 holes. So he'll be back in the field this week, and I don't know if it's because he's needing those FedEx Cup points or if he was just feeling good after that last half of the second round. But he only was good for 33.5 DK points, so just over 3 times value. Ended up being 15% in the millie maker, low owned in cash. And I think based on his performance last week, he'll probably be low owned again. Second play was Joaquin Niemann. So Niemann ended up with 76.5 DK points, so good for over 9 times value. He was relatively low owned in the millie maker too, considering his form. He was just over 12%. Solid week from Niemann. Last GPP play was Harold Varner III, or HV3. HV3 was looking good after day 1, and then had a blow up round in round 2, as a lot of players did. So he ended up shooting +6 in the second round, take him out of contention and missing the cut. So he ended up with 22.5 DK points, 3 times value, but 10% in the millie maker. So if he did hit, it would have been good. Just couldn't avoid the big numbers and the bogeys.